Hello homeschoolers, welcome to the land of Kakiak. My name is Laurel, and today I'm going to talk about science notebooking. Okay, I've got 3 students. I've got a kindergartner, 3rd grader, and 7th grader. Let's just get into it. Okay, let's start with kindergarten. We'll work our way up. You've seen me working in my copybook series. There's 5 of these with my kindergartner. I have a notebook that has pages for everything that we do in it. And but right now we are in a social studies period. We're actually studying famous landmarks and buildings around the world. So to get back to science, I'm gonna have to skip back to my 2nd copybook. I'm only showing you this one just because to show you that I changed the format of them. So this is the current format. But when we were doing science, they were in this format. So it's the same thing. It's just, I just adjusted. I changed a couple things. But this is the one we were working in when we were doing like a science cycle, because I alternate back and forth with him between science or social studies. The resources I was using were the Berenstain Bears Big Book of Science and Nature. And then we have more than this, but here's a couple of these Just Ask books. And they have all types of little science and like nature type topics that they go over. I'll link to all the stuff down below. And I just bought these secondhand. I bought like a bunch of them off of eBay. Let me kind of show you what notebooking looked like for us. I also will link to, I actually went through and just made a printable that gives instructions for a bunch of activities to do with different pages in here, with different topics that are covered in the Berenstain Bear book. And so I'll just kind of show you really quick what that kind of looks like. It's kindergarten. I am required by my state to do science in kindergarten, but it's fun. So, I know sometimes I can get bent out of shape about requirements because I don't like people telling me what to do. But I just made the best of it. And I found that sometimes making the best of it turns out to be some of my favorite stuff that we do. So what do you know? This was not in my activities pack, but we were talking about hibernating and this day. And I think I just went online, just trying to find a printable, a free printable coloring page of a hibernating bear. And we read, why do animals sleep through winter, right? There's so many books out there that you can use for science for these young grades like this. They're just learning about the world, Oh, this was just a really simple day. We learned about snow, and I just made a note that we made play snow. It was just with baking soda and conditioner. This was like his absolute favorite thing. And the next day we still had the snow. I was like, oh, we just played with the snow. You don't have to do an activity every day or even do science every day, but maybe like a couple times a week. Right here was just like a really simple, I just had him do, we read about spring and we talked about, that's when things bloom, and he got some stamps out and it was spring. And it was pages 20 through 30 in our Berenstain Bear book. So I just kind of made a note to myself. This is one of the activities. This was talking about the solar year. We just kind of explained to him what a calendar is, that 1 year is 1 trip around the sun. I just glued in from the printable. What's fun about these is that he still gets these completed notebooks out, and he looks at them pretty regularly, looks back at all his work. We colored and he cut out the little earth, and we just talked about 1 year is 1 time around the sun. And so it's not like they have to get necessarily you introduce it to them, but it's nice to have something they can look back at. That's also part of the reason why I love having my own library at home. We're just building our own home library. I love checking out books from the library. I've definitely done a lot of that in the past, but it's not the same as having that book. Especially when you really do deep dives into them, you've done activities, with these books, you've looked up videos based off, questions that come up or whatever, then that book is still sitting on the shelf. And I did this book with my 2nd son also. So both of them still get this book out and look through it. And so I know that it's still ringing bells for them. And so it's they keep touching back on those memories and those things that they learned, which I really think helps them retain it. It's not like in 1 year out the other, which I think happens a lot if they were just going to school, they don't have those resources at home to keep those memories alive. Oh, here's another Coldplay snow. This is a different recipe for snow. It was baking soda, ice water, and shaving cream. We read about birds, and we made this little bird pop up. He just had to cut and glue and stuff with me. We read about the sun, so we had this little painting project we did, and I think we probably, knowing me, I usually like to look up a video if I can. So I did put some thought through. I just went through that Berenstain Bear book and came up with some of my own ideas, and then also scoured the internet for ideas. We were talking about the life cycle of a frog, looked up a video, we read about it in the book, and then we just made something. I like using those scissor skills, like building up that coordination and stuff. When we learned about Berenstain Bear Big Book of Science, page 50 to 51, mentioned lightning storms and thunderstorms. I actually remember this day because it was really fun. We looked up some videos of thunderstorms, like how they're made, and my middle son joined us for a lot of the activities, and sometimes even my oldest son too, because it's fun. So this was a day where we were experimenting with chalk. It's one of the activities that has instructions and everything. And then we watched a video on it, and we're all in the kitchen. It was like the middle of the summer, right? It's just like sunny day. We were inside, and then I turned on one of those like ambiance videos on YouTube where it just shows like, a stormy sky and like flashing thunder. And we just like listened to a thunderstorm. Like, wow, I think even I did. We all were in there creating our own thunderstorms and whatnot. So this was his. And just like, being creative with different media. I love mixing science and art, especially at this age. I just followed what I did is I printed out these activities, and then I just stuck them in the book where they corresponded with different reading pages. And then just when we got to those pages, we pulled out those activities and did them. I also every once in a while we pulled out one of these because these would kind of correspond with things that were in the book, and we might read these as well. Or just read one of them on their own, like the next day, just so that we didn't go through the Berenstain Bear book so fast. I was inserting these for in between days as well. Oh, this was such a fun day. The spider web, we built a spider. He still does this too. We made spider webs out of white masking tape, but then he tried to draw it in here too. Oh, we made a swamp sensory tub. So now this wasn't a day, like he couldn't really do anything in his book. This printable, this comes in the activity, this picture. So I remember specifically, I asked him to color it, but he wouldn't do it because he was having so much fun playing in the swamp sensory tub that we made. So I literally just sat there while he played. I colored it and I had fun and I taped it in. And we just talked about the different, swamp animals, and we definitely looked up a YouTube video about swamps, and I think we looked up Florida swamps or something. And then, I played another ambiance. That's something I guess I like to do. I like to look up ambiance videos and play them while they're working. So while he was playing in his little sensory tub, he was listening to swamp sounds in the background. Oh yeah, we talked about volcanoes. So we painted a volcano. I'll link to my favorite little watercolor palette too, and I do recommend, I think it's worth it to go ahead and get some watercolor paper. I'll link to my favorite of that too for you if you want to see that. I do a lot of cutting in half, and you can make it go even farther, Oh, here was a nature observation day. We actually went out in the backyard and found nature little, specimens and taped them in. Anyway, so notebooking, it's been really, it's been so fun. It really lit, a candle, a really lit a flame in him for wanting to experiment. He always called these, his activities were his experiments, and he still really wants to do them all the time. And even though right now we're not doing science for him, we're doing social studies. So I'm going to have to come up with some more activities to do once we're through this social studies section that we've been doing, because he loves it. Yeah, sometimes, SciShow Kids. We've watched a ton of those videos about, plants, and he, drew different stages. So it was a seed, and he drew, it needed rain, and it needed sunshine, and then it grew, and he drew all that and colored it in and everything. So we just enjoyed ourselves, and he loves looking back at this stuff. Oh yeah, we made toilet paper roll octopus. That was really cute. Oh, sunflower field trip. I took them to the a wildlife management area where there was a bunch of sunflowers, and we just spent some time outside that day in the sunflower field. Oh yeah, here's another one from the activities. A paper bag deciduous tree. We made those. Those were really fun. Those actually turned out really good. Actually, I think I still have one on the shelf. Let me go grab it and show it to you. Here's the one he made. So this is our paper bag deciduous tree. There was a bunch more leaves that were like on the ground because, you know, they're losing their leaves. But there was a couple he got taped on. But yeah, it makes a cute little thing you can keep on your shelf. Okay, so for him, I guess for his science notebooking, it's just been mostly, it was mostly hands-on stuff. And then, but it was nice to have this resource I made because I could just, like days like this where I wouldn't have had anything to show for it, I just taped in the instructions to keep a record. That's what we did that day. So that was my kindergarten science notebooking. Okay, moving on to my third grader. Okay, this happened today. Coffee spill in the schoolroom. So right now he is doing astronomy from Apologia. I will link like one of my planning videos, but he's been doing, all we do with this, and you can do this with like any book, really, anything that you want them to read. This just happens to be what he's reading. So like lately I've been slowing down. I've just been going to like 1-2 pages max a day. And so you can just look through whatever book they're reading, you know, just go, you can do it weekly or whatever. I think that's what I've been doing for him, mostly just, I've been looking through it. Plus, I mean, it gives me a chance to pre-read stuff, you know, so I know what he's actually learning about because he's doing this mostly independently now. And so I'll say, okay, I'll read a page or two, and I just write down up here what page for him to read. And then I just may look, you know, I just jot a few things down. Like I told him to look up the word prediction and to define it. So he looked that up today. What will or might happen in the future, right? He looked it up in the dictionary. And then I just like found something that was an interesting fact. And since I'll just copy it out and I'll just leave blanks for him to fill in. That's what I did until it looks pretty much full. And then this is space usually for drawing, or he drew something. Oh, he's been really obsessed with, he's learned about ball lightning lately. And I think that's what he was drawing here. And then every once in a while too, I did buy the notebook that came with this. It gives more than I really needed for a third grader. But what I did is like for every chapter, I did pick one thing from the notebook and I just stick it in at the end of the chapter, and he uses that little notebook activity. And then we just stick it in his notebook. So he's basically just going through here, you know, doing whatever I say, tell him to, whatever I've assigned to him. It really doesn't take that long. And honestly, I like it because I like to know what I'm having my kid read, you know. I'll show you what some of his pages have ended up looking like. Here's yesterday's again. So I just had him fill in a couple things. I told him to draw anything you want. So this is what we always get, some sort of like machines in war, always. Something looks like it's shooting something. This might be a satellite. I should have asked him to tell me what that was. See, this was from the notebook that you can buy, and it's just a crossword. I said, go ahead and do the crossword because it was a good review for these terms, you know. I have just a short one, just read a couple fill-ins. He didn't do his drawing that day. I feel like we had to leave or something. Yeah, here's another one. He was just, you know, his reading. He filled in the answers, and I told him to draw the symbol for Neptune. So he drew it there. I copied it out of the book. You know, in the third grade, I mean, a page or two of reading is enough. I'm not sure he was drawing. This is reminding me to tell him to, if he draws something, to label it. Oh, here's one of the activities from, so for chapter 11, I had him do this Uranus mini book that came, the activity notebook. And it's kind of nice. Like I can buy one notebook and I feel like there's enough in there for multiple kids to do. Because I'm not going to have every kid do everything. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just hold on to that notebook. And then when my youngest gets to, you know, third grade or whenever we have him do this book, I'll still have more pages to assign for every chapter. Yeah, here was something out of the student notebook, and we just cut it out. We'd have him do it, you know, cut it out, tape it in. But again, like I said, I just ripped them out of the notebook and I just stuck them in his textbook. Like you'll see, I still have some back here, see? Like this is his next one. And then, yeah, this one is for the end of chapter 14. I think it came out, but I think that's the last chapter anyways. So yeah, it should be right here. And he'll do the space travel mini book. It's like an interactive notebook thing, you know. And again, he'll just like glue it in when he's done. So that's all I have to do. And you can do this with anything, you know, just whatever your curriculum is, whatever book is guiding you, you know, just assign the reading. You can have them take their own notes if you want. He's just so young that I am giving him those little fill-ins or just writing down words that I want him to define. Like, because there's a lot of, you know, like bolded words, like crescent or phases, right? Like, what does that mean? They bolded it for a reason, right? Tell them to, sometimes you say, okay, draw, figure, whatever, you know. Have them just copy it out. I think it's cool. Have them define, like good one was he had them define meteor, meteorite, and meteoroid, you know. So yeah, I just gave him some guidance, and it really didn't take long. And I do like this book. We've really been enjoying this book a lot. So I would recommend Astronomy. Ours is the 2nd edition. So that's his science notebooking and he's in the 3rd grade. Okay, last but not least is my middle schooler. He's in the 7th grade. Right now he is working out of the general science, also by Apologia. And I have a lot of other science resources we've gone through. Some of them are science, you know what I mean? But I will also link below my sequences. So you can see for all the different grades what resources I'm having them, what we're working from, what we're using as our guide, right? Okay, so again, for Everett, I did buy that whole student notebook that you can buy with this. I really kind of found it to be unnecessary. It was just overcomplicating things, and we just completely put it aside. So we're just working from the textbook now, because the textbook even does, this is a course that has labs. And so we did buy the lab kit. He does do the labs. He does them totally independently. He doesn't need me. He just gets into his lab, gets his lab kit's out, does what he needs to do when he comes to it. The labs are, here's one. You just come to them in the book itself. So you really don't need the notebook or anything. Like, everything you need is here. And I actually just made, I think I put one in here for his next lab. Yeah, you can see I like to do that. I like to just stick things in the books when they come to them. And no, I have not had any problem with them falling out. I just made a lab report, a blank one, for him to fill in. So he doesn't even have to try to like get out the notebook and try to get the lab forms or anything out of it. I'm like, just forget it. Like, I just print them out and just stick them in his book with the experiment pages, and he just comes to them when he comes to them. And again, same for him. I've been going through, and again, I like the chance to get to do the pre-reading to know what he's being taught. And I just have been assigning the reading. I don't want science to take since I decided to do it every day now, I don't want it to take a super long time. Just a little bite a day, just small bites of information to help him digest it, you know, every day, not like a flood of information like once a week or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. That's just the path we're taking right now. It seems to be working. So yeah, I just write in here, you know, I just wrote it's his journal science and what pages for him to read. And for a while I was just assigning the pages, and then he was just doing, whenever I told him to define any of the words that were like in blue, and then to do have these on your own section, like little sections. Let me find one. Like right here, on your own. So if you came to one of these, I told him to go ahead and answer those questions. And the answers are at the back of the chapter, so you can check them when they're done. But I was kind of finding that like some pages had way more information than other pages. And so it just wasn't the best plan. So I've actually gone to, because then I was kind of like, well, just stop when your page is full, you know? So here's one. I think there was just words that were bolded that he was defining as he did his reading. But lately I've been going to actually like planning it for him. Like this one, I just went through and I literally put 172 to 173. So it was like 2 pages to read. And I did the kind of same thing that I'm doing with my younger son, where I just wrote in some fill in the blanks. And, oh, he didn't fill that one out. I'm sure I'm gonna make a video about this too, but whenever I notice that something is missing, I flag it. So that the next time they come in, they know they have to go back to whatever's been flagged. I usually do that like at the end of the week. And if there's anything that they missed or that I feel like needs more attention, I flag it and they have to like make it up. They have to do it on Sunday. Okay, the other thing, so they're just working right in there. I'm basically teaching how to take notes, but to kind of speed things up, because I don't mean for this to be like a super, super long subject. I mean, if they, I did give him this is tracing paper. So sometimes you may want to trace something out of the book, you know, the images. And so there's tracing paper. He can do that if he wants to. He can take a photocopy of a picture of a figure that he really liked. If he wanted to include it in his notes, he can take a photocopy of it, cut it out, and glue it in if he wants. Or, let's see if I have one where he did it. He can use these stickers I made him. I actually went through the entire book, It took me like a week. And I made all of these visual aids to go along with the reading. So it just basically follows it followed the book. Let's see, where's the first one? It started with the okay, that's the last page. Okay, unless I started here. And it started going over, you know, the history of science. So there's a bunch of scientists. So I looked up pictures of them and stuff. Anyway, so I made these, I formatted them so that he could just cut them out and like glue them in or tape them in, or I printed them on these labels so that they just became stickers that he could just stick in. So he can use whatever ones he wants to put into his notes. I'll link to these in the description box too. And it just makes, I think it kind of helps him kind of draw his attention to things that were important in the reading, because I've made stickers for a lot of them. But it's faster because you don't have to like draw something, or if you don't want to. I know some kids really want to, that's fine too. I just let him decide. Like he wanted to, you know, if he wants to draw something or if he wants to like grab a sticker out of there and put it in, he can. It's really up to him. And here's one. Yeah, I was talking about, you know, uniformitarianism and catastrophism, and you know how people, you know, how the uniformitarians, how they believe that the Grand Canyon was made. Yeah, so I guess what you do is if I was gonna say how we notebook for science is you have to decide what you want from them, you know. I just know I wanted about a page worth of notes, you know, worthy information that he's digesting, about a page worth a day. So I set that up with him with like a reading plan that's basically about 2 pages a day and then when he gets to his experiments, he does his lab write-up, and we actually just like staple it straight in. Oh, here's one of the experiment lab pages from the student notebook. So he filled it out, you know, he did his like some notes and some pictures while he was doing it, but he did his final one, and I just stuck it in with that experiment sticker that's in those stickers, so that then we could like, you know, flip it up and down easily. So he's just basically, he's taking his notes and he's either drawing or using stickers as visuals as he goes along. And that's what we're doing for our science notebooking. So there were 3 notebooks, 3 science resources for 3 grades. I hope I gave you some ideas or some inspiration or encouragement. Maybe you felt like you weren't doing enough. Now that you see what we're doing, you're like, oh wow, we're really doing well. So I will link to everything down below in case you're interested in a closer look. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. If this was helpful to you, leave me a like, and I will talk to you again soon.